Hey everybody, Jeff aka GCurse here. Welcome to another episode of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries. This is case number 2 of today. Today it is the 16th. Let me check just to make sure. Yep, it is the 16th of May 2024. It is 9:19 a.m. So it's still early in the morning. I'm still trying to wake up a little bit. I'm dealing with allergies, so I'm glad I have the program here to read for me the case of Glen and Bessie Hyde. Do you like mysterious legend cases? Do you like possible murder cases? Well, if you like those cases, then you're going to like this case. Glen and Bessie Hyde, they got married. They decided to go rafting down the Snake River for their honeymoon, and sadly, both of them disappeared. It's not known exactly what happened. Did they die by accident in the water? Did one kill the other? Who knows? But we will get to that right after these commercials from the 1980s.
Our dogs are top show dogs, but they're the family pets as well.
Dick Snyder, top breeder of champion bearded collies.
I try and treat them the way I think they should be treated. Part of that is giving them the right kind of exercise. Part of that is giving them the right kind of diet. We feed our dogs Calcan. It's got the meat they love, plus vitamins and minerals and whole egg. I would not like to try and maintain my dogs in championship conditions without it.
Another top breeder recommends Calcan.
You put a lot of thought into planning your child's birthday celebration. Make lasting memories of this special occasion with professional photographic portraits taken at Sears Portrait Studio. This week, Tuesday through Saturday only, Sears offers a package of 2 8x10, 3 5x7, and 15 wallet-sized color portraits for only $12.95, including 95-cent deposit. Create a portrait memory today at Sears.
Jeans and tops from Sears are spring wardrobe essentials on sale this week. First, jeans that fit just $10.99. They fit your shape as well as your size. And you save $5. Add the all-cotton top, now just $6.99. Cool comfort and perma-press too, and you save $3. Jeans in western and cinch waist, tops in stripes and solids. These wardrobe essentials are on sale through Saturday at Sears, where America shops for value.
Welcome back. This is the case reading portion of the Glen and Bessie Hyde case from Unsolved Mysteries. As always, if you're new to this series, I basically have a it's actually a computer program, but I like to dress it up as my uber sexy secretary. Her name is Jasmine, and here she is. She will be reading everything up to a certain point, and then I'll take over. But however, I will also pause the reading and give you my thoughts if I feel like there is anything to give. So let's switch over to that, shall we? So there we go. And we're all ready. So let's actually see here. I'm going to see if I can. I'm still trying to get this program down correctly that is used to read this. So there we go. Let's see if it'll work, or does it do everything? Come on.
Glen and Bessie Hyde. Edit. Glen and Bessie Hyde. Real names: Glen Rowland and Bessie Louise Hyde. Nicknames: Bessie Haley, Bessie Helmick. Bessie's maiden/married names. Location: Grand Canyon National Park, Arizona. Date: November 18th, 1928. Bio: Occupation: farmer, Glen. Student, Bessie. Date of birth: December 9th, 1898. Glen: December 29th, 1905. Bessie: height: 6 feet 0 inches. Glen: 5 feet 0 inches. Bessie: weight: 90 pounds. Bessie: marital status: married. Characteristics: white male with brown hair. He was wearing a...
Okay, I just want to, like I said, I just want to apologize. I'm not sure if I don't think there is like real in-depth settings for the reading program that is used. I tried to highlight certain things, and the program reads everything, so I apologize for that. Come on.
Wearing a cotton shirt, a wool jacket, and jeans, Glen. White female with brown hair and brown eyes. She was wearing a leather coat, canvas-type pants, and leather boots, Bessie. Case. Details. Glen and Bessie Hyde were newlyweds who set out to navigate the treacherous Colorado River in 1928. The river cuts through the Grand Canyon and was once considered the most dangerous in the world. At some point during their trip, they disappeared. Emery Kolb, a Grand Canyon photographer, was one of the last people to see them alive. 50 years later, Kolb died at the age of 95. A few weeks later, on February 7, 1977, authorities were surprised by a gruesome discovery in his boathouse on the south rim of the canyon. Hidden in a canoe was a single human skeleton that appeared to have suffered a violent death. Whose bones were these? And how did the victim die? The disappearance of Glen and Bessie and the discovery of the human remains in the boathouse happened almost 50 years apart.
Okay, so the one thing that I want to mention is it takes a lot of, the guy must have been either desensitized to the fact that he had a skeleton in his garage. You always hear the whole thing about skeletons in closets. Well, this guy had an actual skeleton in his garage, it sounds like, inside of a boat. So it's either that he was desensitized to it or he just did not realize it. But if he didn't realize it, how fucking often did he ever use that boat then?
Yet they were connected by an article in an Idaho newspaper and by Arizona authorities. They suggested that the bones might be Glen's. So, what happened to him and Bessie? And is their disappearance connected to the secret of the bones in the boathouse?
Okay, I have to say, I'm not sure if it's just me, or does it sound like Jasmine is getting a little bit excited from reading this? Come on.
Boathouse? Glen grew up in Kimberly, Idaho, and attended the University of Idaho. He later took over his family's farm. Bessie grew up in Parkersburg, West Virginia, and attended Marshall College. In 1926, she married Earl Helmick, a high school and college classmate. She later traveled to San Francisco, California, and enrolled at the California School of Fine Art. In February 1927, Glen and Bessie met on a passenger ship traveling from San Francisco to Los Angeles, California. They soon fell in love and made plans to get married. Earl refused to get a divorce, so Bessie moved to Elko, Nevada. Once she met their residency requirements, she filed for divorce there. On April 12, 1928, Glen and Bessie were married in Twin Falls, Idaho, just one day after her divorce from Earl was finalized. At the time, Glen was 29 and Bessie was 22.
Okay, what's next?
That fall, Glen and Bessie built a boat for a special honeymoon adventure, a trip from Utah to California down the Green and Colorado rivers through the dangerous Grand Canyon. Glen was an avid outdoorsman and thrill seeker. This journey would mean instant notoriety. According to writer Scott Thiboni, Glen wanted to make a record-fast run through the canyon. He wanted to do it in a homemade boat with Bessie, even though she had never been on rivers before.
Okay, that's where I would kind of draw the line. If the wife does not have any experience, being on the river. Hold on, I'm trying to fix my camera. Hold on 1 second. Let's see here. Can I make it a little bit larger? There. Move it over here. A little bit larger. There you go. if the wife doesn't have any experience being on the rivers, then maybe she shouldn't have been on the river at all. It sounds like Glen, he was more concerned about his fame or his notoriety compared to the safety of the people that was under his control, because he knew what he was doing on the boat. So therefore, if it makes him the captain of the boat, which means that everybody who would be on that boat would fall under his, safety and everything. So it sounds like he wasn't really caring that much about their safety. Come on, you can do it.
Before, she would be the first documented woman to travel the Grand Canyon via the Colorado River. And
Okay, I thought it was the Snake River for some reason, but it's the Colorado River, so I wanted to apologize for that. I misnamed it. I thought it was the Snake River.
and he wanted to do it without life jackets. Glen and Bessie created their sweep scow boat using 2x4 planks. The craft was 20 feet long, 5.5 feet wide, 3 feet deep, and flat-bottomed.
Okay, I've watched this case numerous times, and it wasn't until just now that it really hit me. He wanted to do it without life jackets. What kind of person wants to go down at a river that had the reputation for being at one point the most dangerous river in the world? What kind of person would want to go without life jackets? That is literally asking for like some sort of drastic consequences or something like that. I don't think the guy was operating with a full deck of cards, if you know what I mean.
Flat-bottomed. To prepare for the trip, they made a detailed plan, studied maps, and read everything they could about running the Colorado River. Their plan after completing the trip was to write a book, go on the lecture circuit, and make money reliving their adventure. Glen had some experience with river running. He had traveled the Salmon and Snake Rivers in Idaho with his sister and an experienced river runner in 1926.
Okay, so the fact is, this is nothing that is new to him. He did this in the past. If he had knowledge of this from his previous experiences, he should have known that he needed to use a life jacket. The fact that he wanted to go without life jackets, that's very concerning. Come on. Come on, please. Don't die on me now. Really? Are you going to die? Did the program die?
It took Glen and Bessie 26 days to travel more than 200 miles from Utah to Bright Angel Creek.
Okay, for some reason it literally skipped quite a while, a paragraph. So I will pick up from where it said 1926. So it said basically he spent 6 months canoeing with a friend down the Peace River in Canada on October 20th, 1928, 6 months after they got married. Glen and Bessie arrived in the Green River, Utah, and set off down the Green River in their boat. An experienced Green River riverman looked at the boat and thought it looked like a coffin. If you actually watched the video, you would agree it does look a lot like a coffin, which is kind of poetic now that it really hits me that he didn't want to use life vest or any sort of life safety measures. It makes me wonder if this guy had a suicide wish. Let's see here. Coffin, he says it was unlike anything that had run down the Colorado River before. At the time, most people who traversed the river were seasoned explorers or on professional expeditions. Over the next few weeks, Glen and Bessie traveled through the Labyrinth, Stillwater, Cataract, and Glen Canyons. In early November, they reached the Grand Canyon. Glen wrote to his sisters several times. He told them that the rapids on the Colorado were much longer, faster, and bigger than the ones he had experienced on the other rivers. And yet the idiot decided to go without life vest. Let's see here. At one point, he fell out of the boat, and Bessie had to help him back aboard. At another point, they hit a rapid, and Bessie was nearly tossed overboard. It took Glen and Bessie 26 days to travel more than 200 miles from Utah to Bright Angel Creek. Okay, let's continue on. Hopefully it doesn't skip another portion. Come on. What the fuck is it? Come on. Oh, now it's not fucking working. Oh, you motherfucker. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause this real quick, and I'm going to reload, and then I'll let it catch up, and then I will unpause. I will be right back. Okay, I am back. I'm thinking that I think I may have found a way for it to read a selection, so I'm going to see if it works. I'm just going to start where it took them 26 days to travel more than 200 miles. Let's see if it'll work. Read aloud selection. Let's see if it works.
Overboard. It took Glen and Bessie 26 days to travel more than 200 miles from Utah to Bright Angel Creek at River Mile 88, in the heart of the Grand Canyon, a new record. On November 15th, with the most dangerous stretch still ahead, they hiked up the Bright Angel Trail and stopped in Grand Canyon Village on the South Rim. While there, they gathered supplies and visited Emery Kolb, who had already twice navigated the Colorado River rapids. Kolb had arrived at the Grand Canyon in 1902 and set about documenting its grandeur. His stunning photographs and immense knowledge of the river soon made him a legend. According to his friend, Thelma Self, he was enthusiastic and proud of his river trips. When people who were interested in the river came to the canyon, they always sought out Kolb. During their visit, Kolb photographed Glen and Bessie next to the canyon's rim. Kolb noticed that Bessie had grown tired of the river trip and was somewhat apprehensive about continuing it. Kolb tried to warn them of the dangers ahead. He told them, "You have no idea what you're getting into. I've been there, and I know what it's like." According to Thelma, Kolb tried every way in the world to talk Glen and Bessie out of going. He asked them to stay with him through the winter and postpone their trip until the weather improved. He even offered them his life jackets and inner tube. But Glen refused all of Kolb's offers, claiming he and Bessie were strong swimmers. He told Kolb, "I'm going to do it without or else." Glen and Bessie spent the night at the El Tovar Hotel and were...
Okay, so basically, the more I hear this case, it seems like this Glen guy was just a fucking idiot. You're going into one of the most dangerous sections of this river, and you don't take any safety precautions. It doesn't matter if you're a person that is new to swimming or you're a fucking Olympic athlete. You don't fuck around with stuff like that, and you sure as hell don't put other people, in harm's way. If you want to fuck your own life up, that's your choice, but you shouldn't drag other people down with you. This guy does not seem like he was operating on all cylinders. Okay, you may continue, please. Do not die on me again.
Were interviewed by several newspapers about their trip. The next day, November 16th, Kolb's wife and daughter drove them to the head of the Bright Angel Trail. Before leaving, Bessie looked at Kolb's daughter's shoes and said, "I wonder if I shall ever wear pretty shoes again." Later that day, Glen and Bessie picked up wealthy adventurer Adolph Sutro at Phantom Ranch. 2 days later, on November 18th, they dropped him off at Hermit Camp and continued downriver into Hermit Rapid. They were never seen again. When they failed to arrive in Needles, California on December 9th, Glen's father, Roland, traveled to the Grand Canyon and began a search for them. Within a matter of days, Roland launched multiple river parties to search for Glen and Bessie. He hired Native American trackers to search the canyon's rim. He even convinced the Secretary of War to authorize an aerial search of the canyon. On December 19th, Army aviators flew into the canyon and spotted Glen and Bessie's empty boat at River Mile 237 at the lower end of the canyon. It had been trapped by some rocks and was in about 30 feet of water. Kolb was asked to lead the search party to find Glen and Bessie. Surprisingly, when he reached the boat on December 24th, it was upright and undamaged. 1 foot of water was in it. According to writer Scott Thiboni, the boat seemed to be intact and organized. Their clothes, including their hiking boots, food, guidebook, rifle, camera, with exposed film, Bessie's diary, and other supplies were still on board and strapped in. Searchers found everything there, except Glen and Bessie.
Okay, I'm just going to give you my initial thoughts when ever since I've been following this case when I was younger. I think she killed him. That's what I think it is. I think she killed him. I think what it was, she was excited in the beginning of this journey. She, there was a chance that, it sounds like she there was some issues where she was almost thrown overboard. Here, then they make it to that Kolb fellow, and he was literally telling them, hey, this area is dangerous. Wait until winter is done and the weather improves. And Glen was like, no, we're not going to wait. We're going to keep going. That probably clicked in her head that, that this is not safe. And then it probably dawned on her, yeah, we should have some sort of life vest. I think it was just all of these small pieces of, information and reasoning. It started to fucking click with this lady. She's like, this guy is nuts. He doesn't care about me. He cares about some stupid record. He could probably care less if I fall into this river and I die. I think that, and it's later mentioned that I think she was about to end her participation in this. Glen got upset. They may have had some sort of, now this part is my theory, that they may have had some sort of tussle, and without meaning to, she probably killed the guy. He is probably going to force her back onto that boat, and she realized that to continue on could have meant certain death. And her survival instincts took over. He grabbed her, and she probably fought for her life because she didn't want to die. One thing led to another, and Glen died, and then she left because she didn't want to be, she didn't want to, I honestly don't blame her. She did not want to, be punished because ultimately she was just trying to save her own life. She was being forced into a boat down this river where she could have died. I think, honestly, if she stayed there and, explained her case to the police, or even if went to court, if she said, hey, he basically forced me to do this. He did not want any sort of safety measures used. There was a person, Emery Kolb, he wanted us to use life preservers, and he's like, nope, we're not going to. I'm pretty sure that they would have found her, if at the worst, guilty of involuntary manslaughter. She was, basically, I think she was trying to save her own life against somebody who, honestly, I feel did not have her best interest at heart. If he didn't want to wear a vest, that's his right. I'm pretty sure she ended up telling him, especially after she nearly fell into water that one time. She's like, I think we should use vests. I'm pretty sure he's like, no, we're not using vests. We're not going to. No. And I think that's where everything could have started to really fall apart between the two of them.
Bessie. The final photo on Glen and Bessie's camera was taken around November 27th near River Mile 165. Searchers uncovered evidence, including footprints, which indicated the couple made it to River Mile 225 or 226, where they made camp. Bessie's last diary entry was dated November 30th. It stated that they had cleared Mile 231 rapid and were ahead of schedule. 42 notches were carved into the boat, indicating the number of days of the trip, which coincided with Bessie's last diary entry. Around the time Glen and Bessie disappeared, a prospector reported seeing a brown leather jacket floating in the river. Bessie was known to wear that type of jacket. Authorities believed that she and Glen fell out of the boat and drowned when they hit submerged rocks in the heavy rapids near River Mile 232. The rocks were known to have damaged boats in the past. Kolb theorized that either Glen or Bessie fell into the river while they were walking.
Okay, so the issue with that is I think that they mentioned earlier in the reading, didn't they mention that the boat was basically left undamaged, that everything was still in the boat, that the only thing wrong was that the husband and wife was missing? I'm pretty sure if it ran across those rocks it would have done some damage, but I don't think they mentioned the boat being damaged at all. Okay, hopefully it doesn't freeze up on me again. Okay, come on.
Walking along it to examine the next rapid, and the other jumped in to try and save them. Roland believed they had difficulties with their boat and tried to hike out of the canyon. They then became lost and died in the woods. Despite an extensive search, Glen and Bessie's bodies were never recovered. 50 years later, in 1977, the discovery of the bones in Kolb's boathouse fueled speculation. Could these be Glen's remains? And how were they connected to Kolb? The authorities turned the skeleton over to Dr. Walter Birkby, a forensic anthropologist at the Arizona State Museum and an expert in identifying human remains. He would like to know who the individual is. He notes that someone is missing, and there may be friends or relatives who want to know what happened to them. Dr. Birkby discovered that the bones were of a white male between the ages of 20 and 23. He was 6 feet tall with light brown hair and was robust with well-developed muscles. Dr. Birkby also discovered a bullet embedded in the right side of the skull. He does not think the wound was self-inflicted. The bullet was removed from the skull. It was determined to be a .32 caliber projectile. It came from a revolver that began manufacturing around 1902. Also found with the bones were pants, a shirt, a silver belt buckle, a dry leather shoe, and a piece of an old leather wallet. The production date of the gun and the other items found with the skeleton suggest that death occurred in the 1920s. During that time, only 2 people, Glen and Bessie, are known to have disappeared in the Grand Canyon. Dr. Birkby heard a rumor that Kolb murdered Glen so that he could be...
Okay, well they said that let's see here. They said that. Let's see here. I'm trying to see where it said it. Okay, that he is between the age of 20 and 23. Well, if we go back all the way up here. Glen was, let's see here. Glen had 7 years on Bessie, it looks like. So I don't think that those bones were Glen's because of the fact that he was older than that, and they said 20 to 23 years of age. But, who knows? The way that they determine the age, I'm pretty sure the method has changed since then. But just going by the age of what they claim, 20 to 23, it doesn't really seem to fit because Glen was slightly older than that.
Be with Bessie. Dr. Birkby, however, finds the rumor preposterous and unbelievable. He cannot imagine why Kolb would kill Glen and then keep his body around. Dr. Birkby hoped to put the rumors to rest. He superimposed a photograph of Glen over the skull to precisely compare the bone structure. This was the only way to determine if the skeleton was indeed Glen's. According to Dr. Birkby, the skull's shape is different from Glen's face. The eye orbits are angled in a different direction than Glen's, and the cheeks are wider. Also, the shape of the chin is wrong. Glen's chin was somewhat rounded, while the skull's chin was fairly squared off. Dr. Birkby is certain that the skull does not belong to Glen. With that, the mystery deepens. If the bones do not belong to Glen, then what happened to him and Bessie? The answer may lie in the eyewitness reports that claim Bessie is still alive and back in the Grand Canyon, retracing the steps of her ill-fated honeymoon adventure 43 years after she disappeared. In 1971, an older woman took a 20-day rafting trip through the canyon. Geologist George Billingsley was one of the river guides for the trip. According to him, the woman was happy yet quiet and serious. She always wanted to do something and help around camp. She also spent a lot of time watching the canyon, and she mostly kept to herself. Towards the end of the trip, the group made camp at Diamond Creek, near the spot where Glen and Bessie's boat had been found 4 decades earlier. That evening, a river guide told the legend of the missing couple, and the woman matter-of-factly said, "I'm Bessie Hyde." The woman said Glen was obsessed with completing.
Okay, now my thoughts about this lady claiming to be Bessie Hyde. I think honestly what it was somebody that was just role playing. Basically, it's a real old form of role playing. She was just trying to add excitement to what was going on. I don't think Bessie would, if she did kill Glen in self-defense, I don't think she would have returned to the scene, simply because of the fact that if she appears and Glen is dead, then the police would probably go after her, and I don't think that she'd want to go back to the scene of the crime, basically, unless she got some sort of excitement from that. I think she would want to stay as far away from the area as possible. Okay. Come on. Try it again.
Completing the trip, no matter how dangerous it was. When she tried to leave, a fight erupted and he beat her up. When his back was turned, she grabbed a knife and stabbed him. She then dumped his body in the river, walked out of the canyon, and took a bus to the East Coast to start a new life. According to George, the woman told her story seriously enough that the rest of the group was not sure what else to say. Initially, they figured she was making it up. Later on, however...
Okay, I am back. I apologize about that. Apparently, the internet browser had some weird fucking incident happen, and as you saw, it literally kind of crashed, but I kept reading it. That was fucking weird. So let's restore the page. My God, this has never really happened. Let's see here. What happens? Can I click this? There it goes. There's that. That normally doesn't happen. This is like the first time I've had this level of problems with the reading program that is part of this browser. So let's continue on. Okay, we're almost done. Hopefully, then I will pick up and resume reading the rest. So let's finish this out, shall we? So let's do this. Let's see here. There we go.
Fackley said, "I'm Bessie Hyde." The woman said Glen was obsessed with completing the trip, no matter how dangerous it was. When she tried to leave, a fight erupted and he beat her up. When his back was turned, she grabbed a knife and stabbed him. She then dumped his body in the river, walked out of the canyon, and took a bus to the East Coast to start a new life. According to George, the woman told her story seriously enough that the rest of the group was not sure what else to say. Initially, they figured she was making it up. Later on, however, they wondered if she really was Bessie because her age was right. Also, she never smiled when she told her story, as if she were telling the truth. When writer Scott Thiboni received the woman's name, Elizabeth Cutler, he contacted her in Ohio. When he asked about Glen, Bessie, and their disappearance, she denied everything. She said she had not told the story, did not know anyone named Hyde, and was not Bessie.
Okay, either this woman is just outwardly lying, or she could be having some form of like amnesia, or if you're really into the metaphysical, she could have been possessed by the ghost of Bessie. Okay, continue on.
Thibony's gut feeling, however, was that she was Bessie. Despite Thibony's beliefs, birth records showed that Elizabeth had been born in Pomeroy, Ohio, on December 2nd, 1908. She was also 4 inches taller than Bessie. She was a former psychology professor known for playing mind games with people. Some believe that that is why she told people she was Bessie. The mysteries surrounding this story remain unsolved. If the bones in Kolb's boathouse are not Glen's, whose are they? And why did Kolb keep them hidden in a canoe for so many years? Did Bessie murder Glen on their trip? And is she still alive? The mysteries have survived the years. And for now, they remain Pa.
Oh my god, really? Really? You're gonna fucking quit? Oh my god. Okay, let's continue on. Let's see if we can. Let's see here. Read aloud selection. There you go.
The years. And for now, they remain part of the legend of the Grand Canyon. Suspects. Emery Kolb was one of the last people to see Glen and Bessie alive. After bones were found in his boathouse, there were rumors that he had killed Glen so that he could be with Bessie. However, tests later determined that they were not Glen's remains. A woman named Elizabeth Cutler claimed in 1971 that she was Bessie and that she had murdered Glen after an argument. However, she later recanted her story, and records indicated she was not Bessie. One theory suggests that Glen was abusive toward Bessie and killed her in a fit of rage. However, his friends and family said he loved Bessie and was not abusive. Bessie's brother claimed that her ex-husband, Earl Helmick, had a violent temper. Some believed that he was involved in the couple's disappearance. He remarried in 1930 and never discussed the case with anyone. No evidence.
Oh my god, this program is really fucked up today. Basically, I'll finish it off. No evidence has been found to support this theory. Holy shit. We went through a lot to get to this point. This fucking program kept crashing. Holy shit. Extra notes. The case originally aired on the November 29th, 1987 special number 4 episode of Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack as host. It was later reprofiled in the Dennis Farina host series on the April 8, 2010 episode. It ranks as one of the most memorable cases in the entire series. It was profiled on the Trail Went Cold podcast. I was going to say podcast. Why podcast? Several books were written about this case, including Sunk Without a Sound, The Tragic Colorado River Honeymoon of Glen and Bessie Hyde by Brad Dimmock. Dimmock and his wife even built a replica of Glen and Bessie's boat and sailed it down the Colorado River. Based on their experience, they believe the couple's boat was ill-equipped for use on the river and that they probably drowned. The show's researchers discovered this case after talking to a private investigator. Their research led them to the Idaho newspaper article, which connected to the couple's disappearance to the bones in the boathouse. I was going to say bathhouse. Why bathhouse? I do not know. Some sources spell Glenn's name with two N's and state he and Bessie were married on April 10th. He was 27, she was 18. They lived in Hanson, Idaho. They built their boat in Green River. They started their trip on October 22nd. They hiked up the South Kaibab Trail. They argued while at Hermit Camp. They were supposed to arrive in Needles on December 6th. Their boat was found in Diamond Creek on December 25th. Oh, happy Christmas. The last specific location she mentioned in her diary was Diamond Creek Rapid at River Mile 225. And the bones were found in 1976 or on May 12th, 1980. Wow. Oh my God, there's a whole bunch here. Hold on 1 second. I gotta blow my nose. I'll be right back. Okay, so results. Unsolved. In May 1992, famous Grand Canyon River runner Georgie White passed away. After her death, there was speculation that she was Bessie. Her caretaker discovered a pistol and a certified copy of Glen and Bessie's marriage certificate inside her lingerie drawer. The caretaker also found her birth certificate, which listed her name as Bessie DeRoss. However, it was noted that Georgie and Bessie did not resemble each other. Georgie was much taller than Bessie. Georgie was barely literate, while Bessie wrote poetry. It is believed that the items found were actually souvenirs. Furthermore, Georgie's early life was well documented. In 2006, Bob Williamson, whose father was a ranger in the Grand Canyon during the 1920s and 1930s, donated photographs and other documents to the Grand Canyon Museum collection. Among the photographs, museum employee Kim Bessem discovered several pictures of a human skeleton. Bessem searched through the reports from the time period and found one from June 1933. It stated that a man's skeleton had been found on a ledge under the canyon rim near Shoshone Point on June 4th. On June 4th, a .32 caliber revolver with 2 cartridges and an exploded shell was found near his right hand. A bullet hole in the skull above the right temple suggests his death was a suicide. The skeleton was wearing a cheap khaki. Oh, wait, say that? Wait, hold on. The skeleton was wearing cheap khaki trousers, a white cotton shirt, and a shoe. A leather belt, a pocketbook, and some tattered rags were found nearby. It appeared that the death had occurred several years earlier. Williamson's father was one of the investigating rangers on the case. In September 2008, cold case investigator Joe Sumner began looking into the case of the bones in Kolb's boathouse. He came to believe that the skeleton was the same one found in 1933. He contacted the museum, and Bessem told him about the photographs of the skeleton. Sumner compared the photographs of the skeleton found in 33 to the bones and clothing found in the boathouse. They were a match. When the bones were initially found in the boathouse, a friend of Kolb's said that Kolb told him that his brother had found a skeleton, clothes, and revolver under a ledge decades earlier. Sumner discovered that Kolb had been a county coroner jury representative for the Grand Canyon at the time. He believes that Kolb took the skeleton home after they were unable to identify the victim, but then forgot about it. How the fuck do you forget you have a skeleton in your boathouse? Unfortunately, the victim has yet to be identified. Due to the passage of time, it is assumed that Glen and Bessie are now deceased. Elizabeth Cutler, who confessed to being Bessie, passed away in 1998. Dr. Brooksby passed away on January 31st, 2015 at the age of 84. Now, let's just go back here real quick. I just want to check something. What were their date of births again? 98. So, yeah, she would be well over 100 at this point. Yeah, she'd be, nearing 130. Yeah, where 2005. Yeah, they would most likely be dead at this point. If not from, like, homicidal violence, then just due to old age. Okay, and then we have Glen and Bessie Hyde at Find a Grave, so let's do that. Glen Roland Hyde, date of birth was December 9th, 1898, Twin Falls County, Idaho, USA. Date of death. Now, I'm figuring that this is assumed. November 18th, 1928, he was 29. Grand Canyon, Coconino County, Arizona, USA. Burial details are unknown. And then let's check out Bessie. Date of birth, December 29th, 1905, in Parkersburg, Wood County, West Virginia, USA. Date of death, November 18th, 1928, age 22, Grand Canyon. Burial details are unknown. And that is it. Here, let's just do this. That is it for the case reading of Glen and Bessie Hyde. Stay tuned, and when I return, I will have my final thoughts. Be right back.
Grimy hands, greasy hands, grubby hands. They're all in a day's work for Work Soap, the heavy-duty liquid hand soap.
Work Soap lathers away grease, dirt, and grime with no grit, no heavy-duty smell.
Hands feel clean, soft and smooth.
There's no soapy mess, and there's no messy soap.
New Work Soap from the makers of Soft Soap. Tough on dirt, easy on hands.
Contestants not appearing on stage receive the Green Machine Spring Trimmer for grass and weeds. Save your world through your yard to give it that professional just groomed look, the Green Machine. And Pylon patio panels for elegant outdoor living. Enjoy the bright, cool comfort of a glare-proof, shatter-proof patio. Do-it-yourself panels by Pylon. Also, a selection of Castle and Cook products, including delicious Dole bananas, fresh and canned pineapple, fresh mushrooms, and Bumblebee seafoods.
I wash with Noxema now, but I didn't always. I used to use soap. I thought that unless my skin felt tight and dry, it wasn't clean. Smart, huh? Drying out my own skin. So I switched to Noxema. It adds moisture as it cleans. So instead of tight, dry skin, you get skin that feels softer, smoother, looks younger. Smart, huh?
Good skin starts with Noxema every day. Noxema Skin Cream. For extra oily skin, get Noxema Antiseptic Skin Cleanser.
So, we have arrived at the final thoughts for the case of Glen and Bessie Hyde. Overall, I think that Bessie Hyde was a victim of Glen. It's pretty evident that Glen did not think of the safety for his passenger. The minute that he basically told Bessie that they were not going to be using any sort of life vest, she should have really started to worry. I get the feeling that this guy cared more about his legacy of being some dipshit who decided that he could go down a fucking river than actually caring about the people who was, he had a responsibility to make sure that they stay safe, If if this shit happened today, I could guarantee that this would be one of the fucking pieces of garbage you'd find doing stupid shit on either Facebook, YouTube, or hell, even X or TikTok. Most likely you'd probably see this shit on TikTok. Some fucking douchey Californian going down a river. Hey, look at me, guys. No life vest, and then they end up getting in a wreck, and then they play the poor me card. This is definitely something I can imagine that the Nimrods of this generation would actually probably most likely attempt. So in a certain way, Glen Hyde was most likely, ahead of the time. He was probably a real early form of a TikToker. Hey, look at me, I can do shit without being safe. What makes me kind of just shake my head is the fact that Glen Hyde's friend said, oh, he loved Bessie, he never abused her. He may have not physically beat the shit out of her. There's more than one way to abuse somebody. And the fact is that he forced her to go down the stupid fucking river expedition without any form of protection. That's abuse in itself. You don't have to literally smack a bitch up in order for it to be abuse. There's mental abuse. There's abuse via other ways, So I'm sorry, I do not view Glen Hyde as a good person like what his friends do. No, the guy was careless. He is selfish, and he lacked foresight to see what was coming down the road. But that is it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. This video, if anything, it just goes to show that even the best of people, Bessie in this case, could fall for a person who just does not care for them. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you for the third and final case out of today's series of 3 Black Site files. The next video will revolve around Dottie Kaylor. Basically, Dottie Kaylor was an agoraphobic, and she ended up disappearing. This case has a lot of people polarized. You either feel bad for Dottie Kaylor, or you're a piece of shit. And I am the type of person that thinks that both Dottie Kaylor and her husband are both pieces of shit. So, But I will see you in the next video, so stay tuned and take it all. Well, it'll be a whole different video, but you know what I mean. I'll see you for the case of Dottie Kaylor. Peace out. Stay safe.